Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The Hurricane Watch Team is here with an update on the tropics. Here we'll be talking about the East Pacific. We do have two areas of investigation that we're going to be talking about. We have a system here, and then we have this system here. They're both areas of broad areas of low pressure. You can see there's deep amount of convection. A little bit of outflow going up here. Got the jet stream dipping down, and then shooting off towards the Pacific Northwest there. So we are looking at that here. We are looking at this storm. We'll be talking about models today, talking about where it's going to go, if it affects anyone, if it does, and who it will. And we're going to be looking at its intensity and how strong these two systems could get. So we do have those areas right there. So first of all, we're going to take a look at the tropics. And we're going to turn off this. Well, anyway, these are the two areas of investigation that we're talking about here. Got a 20% chance in the next 48 hours and a 30% chance in the next 5 days. Overall chance is just low. This one, 0% chance in the next 48 hours, 20% chance in the next week. Overall chance is just low. They both have a low chance of development in the next week, but we are going to be watching where they're going to be going over the next week or so. So I do want to look at models, tropical models. Oh, that's hurricane models. I just need regular models. Global models, GFS. And then we're going to look at we have vorticity, that's what I'm looking at. Vorticity. Alright, we're just gonna look at the dew point. What do you think? Reflectivity. So as we look through this play. Oh, actually. Alright, so you can't see that there is some sort of development of some kind of a system trying to spin up there, as you can see. It does definitely develop relatively well, and that's kind of what we're looking for. We're waiting to see how much it does develop. Pause this. You can make this 3D. It's fucking ridiculous, dude. That's crazy. Yeah, 60. And then put this back into motion. So those are the two areas of the low pressure that we're looking at. You can see they do go, this one on the right hand side does become much more aggressive, and it does not develop or affect anyone, does not make landfall anywhere, so it will be an out to sea system. But we are looking for and curious how strong these storms will be getting, since this is early, generally pretty early in the season, only June, not even July yet, and it does seem to be decently strong. Deep convection near the center, I suspect possibly some kind of an eye wall developing. Right. See if this has any helpful for us. So this wind at low levels of the atmosphere. Give it a second to load in. Beautiful, perfect. So again, we do get a system. You get a bit of an eye wall developing, even a bit of an eye. I do want to pause this. Maybe, good lord. Oh, it was like one. I don't know if I can actually. Oh shit, I can't. So as you can see, a bit of an eye wall developing. They are expecting. They do expect a hurricane out of this, 65 knots, about 75 miles an hour right there. So they do expect some kind of definitely a hurricane developing out of this. It's certainly possible. You can see it kind of weakens. I think this is where it is at its strongest right here. At its peak intensity, there you can see they are expecting about 75 knots, about 85 to 90 miles an hour. But again, this is pretty much far enough away from the coast of Mexico where there won't be any absolute direct impacts. Probably most direct impacts will be bigger waves, possibly rip currents for sure, in the western portions of Mexico. But as this moves farther away from the coast, the impacts will definitely begin to dwindle down, and it's going to dissipate once it leaves that region. But that's what we're looking at with these two systems. No impacts to land at all, except for possibly rip currents along Mexico. But direct impacts, no hurricane force winds, no flooding, no storm surge, just rip currents. That's all we're expecting for the west coast of Mexico. It's going to be a fish storm. It's going to go out to sea and dissipate and fall apart as it moves into cooler waters, higher wind shear, and overall just more terrible conditions for tropical cyclones. But again, we are watching some sort of a system trying to develop here. But again, this is over 168 hours out. This really is not very, I mean, they are predicting like 80 knots, which I think is just ridiculous. But again, it is the GFS, so as it gets into that wind, into the jet stream, it just really falls apart. Really, it's at its strongest right here as it is approaching between Cuba, Mexico, in that area. But as it approaches Cuba, as you can see, they do see some pretty strong and intense heavy rains, and they're also seeing a lot of heavy wind with this, if this does happen to play out. So they could see hurricane force winds with this. This is if this does play out. This particular model has been showing this being particularly really aggressive with this. But hurricanes can be seen in June, but they're very heavily wind sheared. They're not very well developed. They're maybe 70, 75, maybe 80 miles an hour, but that's pushing it. Really, most storms are about 50 to 60 miles an hour in June in the Gulf of Mexico and the Caribbean, and overall they're relatively weak. They're heavily wind sheared, and the biggest threat comes with it is going to be that heavy rain. And wind threat is going to be not your biggest concern. It's going to be your flooding, bayous, nearby creeks and bayous, rivers are going to be overflowing relatively quickly onto the streets, flooding homes, just generally stuff like that. That's going to be the biggest threat with these kind of systems that we're going to see in June in the Caribbean and Gulf of Mexico. So I am curious what the other model is saying. Just the global European model is saying about that particular model. Oh, well, that's why I was confused. I meant to click on total precipitation. Oops. Try that again. My fault. Alright, let's try. Oh, there isn't clearly a total precipitation. Or a regular precipitation. We'll do 10 meter wind speed. I'm having the hardest time today, clearly. Good lord. Not really too much wind. They really don't see anything developing. The European model, which is generally the one that's more reliable, doesn't see anything really significantly happening in the East Pacific here. Caribbean, we are seeing some more stronger winds here, but we just got that flow of energy here. The ITZ intertropical convergence zone here. You can kind of see some wind, some tropical waves coming off. But really, nothing super strong. We're not seeing any hurricane force winds. Nothing really crazy like that. So right now, I really don't think that storm there in the Caribbean, if it does develop, it's not going to be anything overly powerful. It's not going to be anything overly strong or anything. But in the case that if it does develop, we will be watching it. But right now, the National Hurricane Center, even in the next week, does not expect anything to develop in the Caribbean, Gulf of Mexico. East Pacific, they're sort of just going to go out to sea. I do want to go back and look a little bit at the satellite forecast. Oh, this is for the United States. Okay, that makes sense. 2 point. Yeah, let's see snow here in Texas. See how much snow we're gonna get. The freaking temperatures have been absolutely ridiculous. It's kind of glitching out there. I don't think it's gonna be 126 degrees here in Texas. It's gonna be hot. Okay, 125 degrees. I don't know. Down here, it's supposed to be like 110 degrees. Down there near the Laredo area, it's gonna be hot. But we're not really gonna be talking about the United States today. Mainly, we're just talking about the tropics. But that's gonna be it today, guys. Thank you all for watching. Let's go back to the satellite imagery here. We're looking here in the East Pacific. So it just sort of shows how much moisture we got in the atmosphere. So we do actually have some dry air surrounding these storms, mainly up to the north. But these can create some kind of a moisture bubble. That's sort of what we're wanting. That's what we're looking for. Got to see the jet stream up here. We do have in this jet stream here, we certainly got lots of dry air moving in here into Phoenix area, California, New Mexico, Texas. In that area, but really that's me for today, guys. Thank you all for watching. This has been your tropical weather update for the 14th day of June 2023. Thank you all for watching. This has been the Hurricane Watch Team, your source of cyclone information. All links will be in the description. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us. Obviously, subscribe to us on YouTube and Patreon. Links are going to be in the description below. Thank you all for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day. As always, peace out.